throw taken here on the near side into Maza. Back to Adnori. Adnori goes backwards to the halfway line, where that's given away almost by Bensalani. Chased down by Mbolo, but it's read well by Zidane, who comes out to the edge of his area nice and quickly to prevent what could have been a quick interception there by Mbolo. Would have been through on goal as well if it wasn't for the good vision of the goalkeeper. Mandy plays it forward now to Maza. Turned round, down on this right-hand side. Awa will try and chase it down in the right channel, in towards Maddis. Now back towards Zaruki, who can't quite get his foot round that one, Zaruki. And just going for the shot, Zaruki there, but a pass is just a little bit behind him, really. As the ball comes in, finds himself in a good position, but as the ball is behind him, he scoops it out, doesn't really connect, it sort of scuffs it, and Kobel is easily able to get hold of that one. But now here is Maza, passes into Chaibi. Plays the pass here into Bentaleb. Bentaleb turns the ball back to Bensalani. Bensalani now to Mandy. Mandy with the long ball over the top. Held up well on the chest of Chaibi. Chaibi once again, he's dropped back in and then passes over to Bengali, who's on the overlap. Now to Awa. This time Algeria decide to come over on the left-hand side. Held out nicely by Atnouri. They go back down deep into their own half, are unable to find a way through on that left-hand side. Shaibi, who's dropped back in, passes the ball back to Zidane. Zidane now over to Mandy. Algeria actually looking relatively comfortable in these opening stages. They're starting to see that much more of the ball now as Aitnouri plays into Chaibi, who drops back into those positions very nicely. Now Bensavani, this time once again into Chaibi. Chaibi with a lovely ball over the top here, and there's a potential call for a penalty as Zerouki chases that one down. He felt he was shoved in the back there. There was a lovely ball through for Zerouki to run onto. Referee very quick to wave him on and say no. But Switzerland already seeing that Algeria are up for this one this evening. They're not just going to sit back and play the low block here. They're ready to try and play. That's a lovely interception by Maza. Tries to give it to Chaibi. Can't quite find it out. But now here's Awa on the left-hand side of the box. This time back to Chaibi. Chaibi goes to Aitnouri, who's just behind him on this left-hand side. Algeria continue to circle and encroach the Swiss box. But this last few minutes of play has very much been Switzerland forced back into their own half. Algeria take the ball all the way back to the halfway line, but it shows their control and composure at the moment. Chaibi drops in and passes back to Mandy. Now back to Bensabani. Bensabani plays the 1-2 with Chaibi, but Chaibi plays that a little bit too far back, causing Bensabani to have to run backwards. Now they come along on this left-hand side with Bentaleb. Bentaleb plays back into Bensabani. Bensabani over to Mandy. And he brings in Belgali on that right-hand side. Belgali can't find a way through in front of him, so he turns back to Mandy, who goes all the way back to the goalkeeper, but they are dominating right now in possession, the Algerians. Apart from that one little break down the left-hand side when Manzambi linked up with Ruben Vargas, we really haven't seen much of the Swiss getting forward so far as Zerouki fights for it against Vargas, wins that battle, and then passes back to Mandy. Mandy clears along through the halfway to the halfway line. Just looking again at that shout with Akanji. It's Akanji who gives Zerouki the push in the back, but there's not much in that one. I think the referee got that one spot on in not awarding the penalty. Just looking perhaps at the formation change here, I'd say that actually Algeria have switched to playing free at the front. So it looks to me actually that Algeria are playing sort of a 4-1-2-3. with Chaibi and Zaruki sitting in front of Bentaleb on the whole, and Awa, Maza and Maris making up the front three, with Awa coming down on that left-hand side, Maza playing a bit more centrally, and Maris over on the right-hand side. That seems to be the adjustment they've made. As here comes Ruben Vargas on that left-hand side. Lovely ball through here for Manzambi. Manzambi still getting in on the box. Manzambi trying to work his way through. Manzambi still going in, tries to cut it back inside, falls to Embolo, and Embolo turns it in, and right on the 10-minute mark, the man from Rennes in France, born in Cameroon, and here to get the Swiss's first goal in this round of 32 clash. Despite the Algerian dominance, the Swiss broke through. Vargas got the move going. Manzambi then did really well to race down to the byline, bring it on the left-hand side, and still managed to find Embolo, who was in the perfect position to turn it home. It's a second assist in this competition for Manzambi. It's a second goal in this competition for Embolo. And that it will be so disappointing for the Algerians, who've done really well to pressure in the first few minutes of this game. But the Swiss have just turned it around. Excellent work by Manzambi to keep the ball in play, not to let it run out, and just somehow manage to get it back in the centre. And it's the perfect positioning of Embolo. Great centre forward work to be exactly where he needed to be. One touch to turn it in on his left hand boot. And Switzerland take the lead on the 10-minute mark. It's Switzerland 1, Algeria 0. Well, you didn't see that one coming, or at least I didn't see that one coming. Algeria had been asserting themselves positively, but now they'll have to rethink the strategy a little bit. I mentioned how they weren't just going for the low block. Petrovic had set them up with three at the front to try and attack the Swiss, and they'll have to keep doing that now. There's still an awful lot of football to be played in this competition, but the Swiss have shown why they've been so strong in this competition so far. They scored 4, of course, against Bosnia and Herzegovina. They scored 1 in that draw against Qatar in their first game, and 2 against Canada. So they have been scoring plenty of goals throughout this competition so far, and they will feel now, with that early advantage, this is something they can build on. As Algeria look to find their way out from the back once again, Bengali managed to twist inside really well, and he plays the ball looking into the run of Maza. Unable to find him, but Algeria still managed to go back to the halfway line. Ben Savani plays the ball to Ait Nouri, getting down on the left-hand side. The Manchester City man tries to cut his way around Nadoy. Tries to put the cross in, but it just catches the boot of Nadoy. And that allows Zakaria to come on over, take hold of possession, and even better from the Swiss perspective, win a throw in the process just by the corner flag. Zakaria will take down here on this near side. Now Switzerland try to play through the middle. It's intercepted though by Ben Savani. Bentaleb steps in and then plays along to Belgali. Belgali to Maris. Riyad Mahrez plays it back into Bentaleb in the centre of the midfield. Now to Ben Savani, working his way high up the pitch. Ben Savani with a lovely ball forward here. Now here once again is Awa. Awa takes the shot from outside the box, but he really scuffs at that one. Unfortunately for the man born in France, Hussein Awa. Turned 28 2 days ago. But no birthday celebrations for him so far. Just unable to get any purchase there on the shot, and it rolls very safely into the gloves of Gregor Kobel. And now here's an opportunity for Switzerland to come forward once again. Nadoy coming down on the right-hand side, making his way at pace towards the box. And Nouri trying to get in his way. This time Nouri does manage to win possession, and he looks to clear towards the halfway line. Nobody there to pick up that clearance, which allows the Swiss to pass all the way back to their goalkeeper. I think that Nouri's clearance there was just purely on safety, with Nadoy starting to assert himself down that right-hand side. Most of the Swiss attack so far has come down this left-hand side. And here is Mantovani once again coming through on the left, links to Vargas. Vargas plays to Xhaka. Now back to Akanji. Akanji lofts the ball over the top and it's picked up nicely by Mantovani. Mantovani still going here, doing really well. Comes into the box from the end of the box with the cross in towards the centre. Nadoy with the touch. Back towards him, Bono for the shot, and it goes straight into the gloves. In fact, it's Zakaria who was there to take the shot, but it goes straight into the gloves of Zidane, who's happy to make a comfortable save there. But again, the Swiss continue to be dangerous, especially every time Manzambi gets the ball down that left-hand side. He comes through with pace and looks very dangerous. And the Swiss there were asking for the ball to be put out of play, which the Algerians do actually do. They're under no obligation, of course, to do that, but they do so. And the reason is Manzambi is down on the ground in some pain. We'll try and have a look for you exactly what caused the injury. He has been the standout performer so far in this game. Manzambi's ball received a heavy touch from Nadoy in the first place. Freuler was there to get hold of the heavy touch, though, from Nadoy by just getting himself forward really well to pick up that touch. Then Freuler's attempt to pass through in the middle goes just behind Zakaria. He does manage to get something on it, but not enough to do anything that's going to really cause anything for Zidane to worry about too much there. I still haven't really seen what it was that caused the injury for Manzambi. He is now being given something to drink by the team of physicians. It's ahead of a hydration break. He gets double hydration. I guess he has worked very hard thus far in this game, hasn't he? So why not have an extra drink? The Swiss manager just taking advantage to have a word with his team. He's looking very dapper, I must say. Murat Yakin this evening in Vancouver got sort of, I don't know how to describe the look that he's got, but whatever he's aiming to look like, he's pulled it off very effectively. Switzerland now playing out from within, Algeria, playing out from within their own half, trying to get themselves back into this game as quickly as they can. Bentaleb plays over on the near side to Adnouri. Adnouri flicks the ball back to Bentabani. Bentabani passes over to Mandi. Mandi plays the ball to Belgali. High up in that right-hand side, he cuts inside. A give and go on the right now with Maris. Tries to play the ball forward. Nicely intercepted though by the Swiss. Goes back to the Algerian defence just in front of their halfway line. Bensamani coming forward at pace. Bensamani still going through here. Plays it off on the left to Aitnouri. Aitnouri come through very nicely past Nadoy and Zakaria. That's great work from Aitnouri. Can't get through against Freuler though. Manages to flick the ball. Lovely backwards to Ora. Can they make a shot in here? Algeria, they have to take the second ball outside of the box, but they again continue to look dangerous. Now a ball in from Belgali. Nobody able to get on the end of it, and the Swiss will come with the clearance here as Nadoy will try and run forward down this right-hand side. The Nottingham Forest man plays it into Manzambi. Manzambi goes back to Zakaria. Now over to Elvedi. Elvedi with a little ball forward to Captain Fantastic, Granit Xhaka. Xhaka has been, of course, in this Swiss team for many a year. He was part of Petkovic's Swiss team, very much an influential figure in Petkovic's Swiss team as well, and he's been a hugely influential team in the Premier League this last campaign as well. As Elvedi plays the ball back here with Xhaka, who has to improvise a little bit with the oncoming Mazza, and man is just about to pass the ball back to Kobel, who clears long and goes straight to Bentabani. Now to Bentaleb. I have been hearing some rumours when it comes to Granit Xhaka and Chelsea, which you don't necessarily think of 33-year-olds getting those big money moves, but he really has been one of the standout players and was certainly key to just about everything Sunderland did successfully in the past Premier League campaign. Mandi now plays the ball across the defence to Bentabani. Bensalani with the ball, looking forward. Aora brings it down on his chest. He's pushed just on the edge of the box there by Zakaria, and he's going to win a free kick there. It's deep down towards the byline, but he just gets a bit of a shove there. Hussein Aora, as he makes his way down, you can just see as well. Murat Yakin was not particularly pleased with the moment just a few seconds ago, where Granit Xhaka was rather under pressure, putting the ball back to his goalkeeper. It is in fact not a free kick, and I think Aora was judged to be offside in the build-up there as well, which is why Switzerland were able to get the ball clear. As now Zakaria trying to fight for it against At-Nouri. Ball goes out of play, both players claiming for it, but looking at the consternation on Zakaria's face, it appears to have gone the way of Algeria. No, it hasn't. Zakaria was just wanting to show his disappointment regardless. It will be a throw to the Swiss, right by their own corner flag on the near side. Zakaria throws long down the line, but it's straight to Zerouki. Zerouki tries to loft it back over. Bentaleb heads it back in as Mazza tries to knock it forward with his head. Unable to do so, but the ball does come out to Bensalani just in front of the halfway line. Offside, however, given against Zakaria in that build-up, which means we'll go back for a Swiss free kick within their own half. Elvedi to take it. Links up with Akanji. Elvedi dribbles the ball, moving well towards the halfway line, then passes back to Xhaka, who links in just behind him. Xhaka goes back to Akanji. Akanji plays the ball long on the left-hand side to Rodriguez. Rodriguez heads on in front of him to Vargas. Back once again to Xhaka. Xhaka now into Manzambi. Manzambi dribbling forward. Plays out on the left to Rodriguez. Rodriguez tries to put the cross in, and it goes behind. It looked like there might have been something off Belgali as it went behind there. I think from what I can see, that should be a corner to the Swiss over on the far side. It will be. Rodriguez's cross was just caught by Belgali. Put it behind. Out for the Swiss's first corner of the game. Xhaka up there for this. Elvedi up there for this. Rodriguez, the man to wind it up. It's headed away at the near post. Not the best delivery there from Rodriguez. Fairly comfortably headed by the first man of the Algerian defence. Swiss go back to Elvedi. Turns, pauses for a little bit too long for the fan's sake, and then passes back to Kobel. Kobel now into Xhaka. Manzambi brings the ball under his spell on the halfway line, dribbles backwards and passes to Akanji. Now Elvedi on that right-hand side of defence. Elvedi into Zakaria. Zakaria tries to find Mbolo with a pass, but just puts it a little bit in front of him, and that allows the Algerians to get hold of possession once again. Now over to At-Nouri. At-Nouri into Bentaleb. Bentaleb over to Mandi now. Dribbles in the direction of the halfway line, then puts a lovely ball down the left-hand side. It's going to be tried to chase down by Mazza, but just a little bit too much on that one. Chaibi, in fact, was the man who was chasing that one down. Just a little bit too much on the pass in the end from Mandi, and it allowed Kobel to come straight out and get hold of that one there. And now another opportunity for the Swiss to get down on the left-hand side. Rodriguez coming through on that left-hand side. He's got Vargas just in front of him. That's who he goes to. Vargas back inside to Manzambi. Manzambi goes back to the captain, Akanji now. Akanji weighs up his options, then passes back to Xhaka. Xhaka now down the left-hand channel to Vargas. Vargas goes back to Rodriguez. Rodriguez into Xhaka. Xhaka back to Akanji. Very disciplined shape here by the Swiss. Elvedi into Xhaka. Xhaka now in the middle to Freuler. Freuler with a lovely ball, looking for that run of Zakaria down that right-hand channel. Zakaria picks it up just by the corner flag. Zakaria tries to put in a cross, and it's put behind by At-Nouri for a throw. Looked like a moment was going to go for a corner, but it will be a throw to the Swiss. The Nottingham Forest man, Dan Nadoy, comes over to take this one. It'll be a long throw, you imagine. No, instead he throws short to Zakaria. Back to Nadoy. Nodoi into Mansambi, who's come over onto the other side of the pitch. Mansambi plays the ball back to Akanji. Akanji plays over to Rodriguez. Rodriguez looks to wind up a shot from Earl outside the box. He plays in a line driver, and it goes a fair way out of the far post. It's not a bad effort from Rodriguez at first, but in the end it's a fair way off, and you think he probably had better options in front of him to look to play one of his players in there, the left back on the Swiss team, the man who had been playing his football at Real Betis. Very successful campaign there. His contract is up. We await to see where he will be playing next season. He will not be continuing with the team from Sevilla. And we do now have your and my favourite moment of the game. Yes, you guessed it. It is, of course, the hydration break. It's coming a little bit late. Some of you might have been thinking, oh, I wonder if there's going to be a hydration break. Alas, we are subject to such things. Or maybe you are a fan. Some of these, of course, they can make a difference. You know, the chance for managers to give that tactical advice to their players, have a little check-in. I'm sure Pektovic will be pleased to have a chance to give his team some instruction right now as they look to find their way back into this game. I'm sure you know what happened in the earlier fixtures, but just in case you missed the very exciting games we had earlier today in the round of 32. Spain took on Austria early today and led that game convincingly, won that game convincingly by 3-0. Goals in that by Pedro Porro and Oyarzabal scoring twice, and then a dramatic match. Portugal 2, Croatia 1. Portugal scored in the 94th minute. Croatia thought they had scored in something like the 99th minute or the 101st minute. Time had really extended in that one, and that was judged to be offside by the tightest of tight margins. So Portugal versus Spain, that is now all confirmed in the round of 16. In this game, Switzerland are leading by a 0-0. It's Embolo who has the goal. Excellent work though by Mansambi, driving the ball at pace towards the byline and still just about managing to get the ball to cut back in towards the centre where Embolo was in the perfect position. And who else do you want to be there but that man to score his second of this competition? And that's why on this hydration mark, coming at the 27-minute mark in fact, it is Switzerland 1, Algeria 0. It would just be continued success for Switzerland in this competition if they do book their place this evening. That being said, they've never gotten past the quarter-finals. The last time they got there was in 1954, and on that occasion they were hosting the competition. There's a lot which has been said, of course, about the impact of hosting this competition. England fans will be all too familiar with that, won't they, with the upcoming game at the Estadio Azteca and all the talk that's been had there of playing at those big cathedral stadiums and how it impacts. And doesn't that show as well when we look at that stat that the last time Switzerland did so well was when we were playing this competition in some of their beautiful cities in that country. Well, we are now ready to go once again. Zidane has the ball in his hands for the restart to get going. Zidane waiting for his players to get into position. A little bit more flexibility, of course, on time coming back from that type of restart. Zidane's clearance is headed by Xhaka, looking to get forward, but Xhaka's header is intercepted. But as the ball bounces around, the Swiss manage to find some space on the left-hand side with Vargas. Vargas plays it back to Rodriguez. Rodriguez plays into Xhaka. Xhaka links up again here with Rodriguez before then going back to Akanji. Akanji now over to Elvedi. Elvedi dribbles towards the halfway line, pivots, and plays the ball through the centre. Ndoye thought he was fouled there, but had to get back up quickly as Algeria intercept and try to bring themselves forward here. Maza over on that right-hand side to Belgali. Belgali plays into Bentaleb. Bentaleb to Chaibi now. Chaibi running forward and then plays to his left to Ait Nouri. Ait Nouri back into Chaibi. Chaibi goes all the way back to Bensavani. Bensavani to Mandi. Mandi back to Bensavani now, just on the halfway line here. Into Bentaleb this time. Back now to Bensavani, who does tend to get higher up the pitch of the two centre-backs in this Algerian side. He plays over to Ait Nouri. Ait Nouri back into Bentaleb, who's kept his high position in the pitch. Mandi a little bit further back. Bentaleb also drops back. You see that happen that when Bentaleb gets up, Bentaleb tends to drop back in just to provide a little bit of extra cover in the defence as Bengali plays the ball back to Mandi. Mandi now into Zerouki. Zerouki back here to Mandi. Mandi with that ball towards Ait Nouri, right in the left-hand corner. Ait Nouri will try and work his way past Ndoye. Ndoye does well to win that battle, and now he'll try and run forward down the right-hand side. This is a chance for the Swiss to get forward. Ndoye is wrestled to the ground there, and that's surely a free kick to the Swiss. A right shake of the head from Ait Nouri, but no doubt in my mind, as soon as I saw that, Mr. Falcon Perez seems to agree with me on that one as well. Nice attempt there from Ndoye to try and break forward quickly down the right hand side. The first part of the game, the Swiss were really dominant on that left hand side, especially the link ups between Manzambi and Vargas, but now we're starting to see a bit more coming through that right hand side. Ndoye just starting to look a little bit more lively now. His club being in the news this week, of course, having somewhat surprisingly decided to sack their manager with reasonably limited context for it as well. It seems to have taken the supporters of that team by surprise as the Swiss win a throw in the attacking half. A throw back to Freuler. Freuler goes back to Elvedi. Elvedi to Akanji. Akanji to Rodriguez now on that far side. Rodriguez forward to Vargas. Vargas back to the captain Xhaka. Xhaka now with the ball into Ndoye. Ndoye turns round and then passes back to Manzambi. Manzambi with the ball to Rodriguez, making a run forward, and then passes to Vargas. Vargas on his way in the direction of the box, still going here, Ruben Vargas. Vargas doing well to get forward into the box. Vargas still going, trying to do everything to get himself forward. He had bodies available to him in the box, but he was just trying to keep going before eventually Mandi, I think it was the final man to get the tackle, who then tries to clear, but it goes straight out for a throw to the Swiss. Manzambi. Nice little give and go there with Rodriguez. Now Manzambi arriving again in the box. Manzambi through into the box. Plays it back to Vargas. Couldn't quite pick him out with the pass. Belgali tries to get clear there and he's tripped by Vargas in the process. And it's a free kick to the Desert Warriors in their own half. Just having a look at that attempt there by Vargas. Does so well to get through. He does try to pick out a teammate in the end. Kind of what we saw with the goal by Mbolo, but unable to find someone on that occasion. But similar in that sense of looking to drive down to the touchline on the left-hand side of goal and then to bring the ball back into the centre in the hope to find the likes of Mbolo in there. Mandi steps up to head forward. Zerouki knocking forward towards Mazza, doesn't manage to pick him up, but Ait Nouri just about manages to come and pick up the ball, but he pushes Ndoye. That's the second time in a couple of minutes that Ndoye has been fouled by Ait Nouri there. Both men do know each other from playing in the same English league together. Fairly different ends of the table this last campaign. Elvedi now to Akanji. Akanji gets the ball on the semicircle of the halfway line, then knocks it forward to Manzambi, who tries to knock it onto Mbolo but couldn't pick him out with the pass. So allows Nouri to pass the ball back to his goalkeeper. Zidane drives the ball forward towards the halfway line. Maris tries to head it forward, can't do so, which allows the Swiss to steal possession from them. Tries to clear the ball down the right hand side where you might expect Ndoye to be making a run, but he wasn't on that occasion, so it goes out for a throw to be taken on this near side. Ait Nouri throws into Bentaleb, back to Ait Nouri. Now to Ora. Ora dribbles inside under a bit of pressure, but a free kick has already been given for a foul on Ait Nouri right by the touchline. Straight back up there at Nouri, but the referee ready to blow his whistle. The standard camera showing the famous people. However, as so often happens, I don't know who those famous people are. I think that might have been Zach Gafal, the one from the Hangover movie franchise, whose name I wasn't able to pronounce. I think that was him there. And somebody else who I've definitely seen before, but didn't know who it was. I find that always happens for me when they show the famous people camera, apart from the odd exception. Now here's another chance for Algeria to try and get forward. Mahrez plays off to Ora on the edge of the box. Ora plays back in towards the centre, but Chaibi's under an awful lot of pressure there. Manzambi does really well to win that battle, and Manzambi in a bit of space here, coming down the left-hand side. Manzambi is tripped by Chaibi, surely to win a free kick, and a yellow card goes to Chaibi, and that's the first yellow card of the game, and I think he knew exactly what he was doing there, Faras Chaibi, the man who plays at Frankfurt, because Manzambi was getting away there in a bit of space, and Chaibi, who was coming back to chase him, just chopped him down a little bit too late. Pretty much what you call a technical foul, because there weren't too many options. They know how dangerous Manzambi is. There's already some pretty good empirical evidence of that and the dangers of a 20-year-old. Ruben Vargas is the sole Swiss player to be standing over this free kick. It's on the left-hand side of the box. Just a yard or so, no more than that, maybe 5 to 6 yards or so off the corner. But a very good chance for Vargas to whip something in towards that back post, you would imagine here. It's not shooting range. Vargas gets himself ready. Ball comes in, it's a nice ball as well, and it's headed by Zakaria, and he just can't quite get the head on target. Nice ball in from Vargas. Not the easiest for the defenders to deal with, and Zakaria is the first man to get to it, but he just doesn't quite get his jump in time to connect on the right part of his head. Sort of hits more on the back of the head really than where he wants it to be, and it just goes beyond and over the crossbar and for a goal kick. Zidane's goal kick goes to Belgali on the right hand side, and now the Algerian clearance tries to find Chaibi ahead on the right hand side. Akanjivo steps in the way of that, then passes to Elvedi. Elvedi's pass to Xhaka is a little bit in front of Xhaka. Xhaka has to chase back to it and wins a quick free kick as he's tripped by Bentaleb. It's taken quickly. Now Manzambi driving into the centre. He tries to find Mbolo with the pass, but he just put it behind Mbolo, sort of straight in between Ndoye and Mbolo. Otherwise, especially if it found Mbolo there, that would have been especially dangerous. That's where you back the Swiss to score a second. In the meantime, there's a foul committed by Ndoye. It's on Ora, who doesn't look too happy with that one, but he's up quickly back to his feet. Bentaleb plays the free kick horizontally to Mandi. Mandi plays over to Mahrez. Mahrez knocks the ball forward, but Rodriguez is in the way of that. Rodriguez then passes to Xhaka. Xhaka goes back in that triangle to Akanji. Now a little knock over to Ndoye from Xhaka. Ndoye knocks it forward to Mbolo. Mbolo then passes back to Ndoye. Ndoye over to Ruben Vargas. Vargas coming down the left-hand side. Back to Rodriguez now. Rodriguez to Xhaka. Xhaka over to Rodriguez. Akanji on the halfway line to his defensive partner Elvedi. Then he dribbles forward, looking for the ball over the top towards Mbolo. It's headed away by Ben Sawani. Only over to Zakaria. Zakaria nods the ball to Ndoye. Ndoye just outside the box on the right. Ndoye with the ball in the centre to Mbolo. And the corner is given there as Mandi just gets hold of it before Mbolo can direct his shot on target. And I think Mbolo must have been offside there, surely, or perhaps because it's played to Ndoye. So it will be a corner on the near side. This time it's Vargas to take it. The only other corner was taken by Rodriguez. Not particularly effective so far. On the 40-minute mark. Vargas with the corner. And again it's headed at the near post. This time it's Bentaleb who heads away. Both of those two set-piece deliveries for the Swiss have been a little bit disappointing so far in this game. They've been good in most areas of the pitch, but the set-piece delivery perhaps just a tiny bit lacking, or from the corners at least. Mandy now. Plays to Bentaleb. Bentaleb over on that right-hand side, looking for the run of Maris. Maris passes back to Zaruki. Zaruki into Bentaleb. Bentaleb now to Maza. Maza knocks the ball forward to Ora. Ora over on that right-hand side to Maris once again. Maris back in to Zaruki. Zaruki over to Ben Savani. Ben Savani with the ball over top. Maris will try and get it, but Rodriguez is there in front of him and heads it behind before Maris can get there. And it'll be an Algerian corner over on the far side. It's a nice testing ball there, hit by Ben Savani. Nice run onto it from Riyad Mahrez. But Rodriguez read that very well and just heads it confidently behind for that corner now on that right-hand side of the pitch. Mahrez with the ball in towards the centre, headed away by Zakaria. Only as far as Chaibi. Chaibi tripped there by Ndoye, but no foul given. The Algerians try to then play the ball quickly forward to where Maza is in the front on the left-hand side of the box. There's too much on that, though. A couple of players went down for Algeria there in the process. One of them was Bentaleb in a coming together with Rodriguez. Bit of a clothesline there. Sort of a rugby handoff there as Rodriguez leaves his arm out and catches Bentaleb in the midriff. Swiss throw taken by Zakaria. Knocked out for a throw again, about 2 metres further up the pitch. Zakaria takes it again, throws down the centre towards Mbolo. Now looking forward, looking for the run of Ndoye. Ndoye heads backwards, but his header is intercepted by Bentaleb. Bentaleb heads over to Ora. Ora attempts to put the ball forward, but Akanji steps in the way of that. And now Mansavani will try and run forward. Once again, Mansavani going, but Belgali gets in his way. That's important defensive work by the Algerian. Mahrez now. Riyad Mahrez trying to turn his way round Mansavani, who gets back into the defence. That duel ends up in Mansavani conceding a free kick on the halfway line. Free kick, looking for the channel here for Ora on the left-hand side. Ora cutting back inside into the box, plays the ball into the centre. Here's Chaibi with the shots. But it's not going to be good enough to really give any worry to Kobel there. The ball is well brought down by Ora. Plays it into Chaibi. Chaibi manages to turn and take it on his right. Then hits the ball between the legs of Elvedi. But it's a comfortable ball for Gregor Kobel to take. But still, those shot statistics fairly even at the moment. Sweden have had 4 attempts. Switzerland, have had 5 attempts on goal. Algeria 4. So fairly even as things stand as we approach the halfway mark. Couple of minutes on the clock before we get to the 45, and then however much the officials add on here as Ora plays the ball into the centre to Maza. Maza running forward here. Lovely ball off to Chaibi. Chaibi on the edge of the box. Back in now into Bentaleb. Maza once again now up to Ora. Ora tries to knock it forward for Belgali, trying to make the run forward, and just a little bit too much on for Belgali to be able to chase down there. It's a nice move by the Algerians, who are doing what they can to ask questions again before getting into the half-time break. And Belgali close with his outstretched right leg there to getting something on that. I doubt he would have been able to direct it on goal, but he might have been able to direct it towards a teammate. Now Zidane plays the ball out to Mandy. Mandy to Belgali. To Maris. Bentaleb now. Back to Mandy. Is there an opportunity for the Algerians to get themselves back on level footing before we go in at a break? Here's Maza. Mazza with the ball over the top, looking for Mahrez. Mahrez just about managed to head it backwards towards Ora. But now Xhaka clears long all the way down to Zidane, who has to run back from the edge of his box, and the ball bounced a little bit awkwardly. That was almost, as you saw Zidane running backwards, there were slight moments of thinking of the likes of David Beckham and that big shot from well within one's own defensive half. And now Ora dispossessed by Ndoye, but he wins it on the second attempt. Ora trying to work towards the box, plays it off to Aït-Nouri. Aït-Nouri can't get past Zakaria, and Zakaria manages to win the throw as well for the Swiss. 4 minutes of additional time will be added on at the end of the 45 as Zakaria prepares the throw, throws in to Akanji. Akanji, ball is nodded on by Mbolo, but it's given straight here to Mandy, who tries to pass down the left-hand side, but his pass goes straight out of play. That's a slightly disappointing ball there from Mandy, who has been pretty accurate with his passing, but a rather needless giveaway to allow the Swiss a throw here on the near side. Zakaria's throw, Aït-Nouri gets in the way of Ndoye. Aït-Nouri now comes forward, passes off to Mazza. Mazza coming in towards the centre, then passes off to, he tried to find Mahrez, but Rodriguez does really well there to get in front of where Riyad Mahrez is and to clear the ball long up the pitch. Zidane comes up to pick up a clearance, which goes straight to Akanji. Akanji over to Rodriguez. Being impressive in defence today, Rodriguez. Xhaka to Rodriguez now. Vargas tries to keep the ball in play on the far side, can't quite do so, and that'll be a throw to the Algerians. Mazza dribbling the ball forward, plays it off to Belgali. Belgali back to Mahrez. Mahrez with the ball towards the centre, chested down by Bensavani. Bensavani over to Aït-Nouri. Aït-Nouri back to Bensavani. Bensavani over to Mandy. Mandy to Mahrez now. Mahrez up against Vargas, turns back to Belgali. Belgali back to Riyad Mahrez on that far side. Mahrez tries to put the cross in towards the centre, and it's another opportunity where the Algerians have had the ball in the centre. This time it falls to Ibrahim Mazza. The cross coming in from the right hand side. Both Mazza and Ora were there. It was Mazza who went for the shot in the end, but he's unable to direct it on target. And that potentially has been one of the problems the Algerians have had. They have managed to get the ball into the box, but the shots they've taken, when they've been on target, haven't really done enough to threaten Gregor Kobel. He's made a couple of routine saves thus far in the game, but nothing beyond the fairly simple balls fairly straight into his gloves. And that's something that surely Uncle Vlad, as he's known, the Bosnian Herzegovinian citizen by birth, does also have Swiss citizenship as well, Vladimir Petkovic, and that is something I'm sure he'll be keen to discuss with his team. Mohamed Omora, who would be one option in attack, is unavailable because of injury, but he may look to think of his options towards the second half. Zakaria takes a throw, comes back to Manzambi. Manzambi dribbles down on the right hand side and concedes a throw. This will be the last opportunity the Algerians have now in this half to take the throw from within their own defensive area. See if they can get the ball up the pitch for one more time in this half. Aït-Nouri lofts the ball down the line for the run of Mazza. Can't get hold of it though. Allows the Swiss to clear. Xhaka goes back to Elvedi. Elvedi goes back to his goalkeeper, and you expect this now to be the end of the first half. Kobel into Akanji. Akanji back to his keeper, and that will now be the half-time whistle. It's been a fairly open game. Algeria have had most of the possession with 59%, and they've had their attempts on goal, but it is the Swiss who lead at half-time with a goal by Embolo. So we go in this round of 32 clash with the Swiss leading by a 0-0. We'll be back in 15 minutes or so, bringing you all the action from the second half in Vancouver. Well, welcome back. If you're in Europe, good morning. And if you're somewhere in the Americas, well, we hope you're having a very enjoyable evening. We're here bringing you the unofficial studio-based commentary of all the action from the round of 32 as Switzerland take on Algeria, and the scoreline at the end of the first half is Switzerland 1, Algeria 0. Algeria started strong. They were doing well in the first few minutes of that first half before they were struck down by a Swiss goal. Fantastic move, running down the left-hand side. Manzambi made his way towards the goal line, the touch line, just about managed to extend his leg, get it back in the centre, where Mbolo was more than happy to pick up the ball, and on his first touch, or on the first touch he took there, able to confidently convert and put the Swiss in front. Since that point, the Algerians have had attempts on goal. They've had possession with the ball. They just haven't really been able to do anything that has dramatically threatened Gregor Kobel's goal. And they will be looking to change that in the second half as best they possibly can. Whether that's through changes to the personnel or other changes that might be made. But from what I can see at the moment, there are no changes to either side, which means that Switzerland continue with their 4-2-3-1 formation consisting of Kobel in goal, Rodriguez on the left-hand side of defence, Akanji and Elvedi in the centre, Zakaria on the right-hand side, Chaka and Frula in the holding midfield, Vargas, Manzambi and Ndoye the attacking midfielders, and Mbolo a striker in front of them. And Algeria will continue in what has been a 4-1-2-3 with Zidane in goal, Atnouri, Bensevani, Mandi and Belgali the back four, Bentaleb sitting in front of them, Shaibi and Zerouki taking together midfield duties, Aouar, Maza and Mahrez in front of them in the front three. As we're now underway from the second half, Switzerland in red now coming from right to left as Rodriguez tries to put the ball in the centre. That's well intercepted by Maza, who then loses out to Chaka with some good solid defensive work from the 33-year-old. And now the ball played down the right hand channel to the run of Zakaria. Zakaria trying to put the ball into the centre to Mbolo, but it's well intercepted. But now Zakaria comes again, tries to pick out Vargas with the pass, and now we're over at this time it does find the goal. It's Dan Ndoye, and within minutes, not even a minute of the start of the second half, the Swiss have extended their lead. Dan Ndoye, the man to do it, and just as people here in Vancouver were beginning to get themselves settled back in for the second half, the Swiss have extended their lead. The Nottingham Forest man, his first goal in this competition, is there to put the Swiss in front. And it came first. It looked like the Swiss had given up the opportunity, but then the botched clearance comes straight out to Dan Ndoye, who doesn't need to be asked twice. It started when Vargas tried to find Zakaria, or Mbolo, with the cross. That was cleared. It looked like the moment had gone, but the clearance went straight to Dan Ndoye. And he was there, ready to convert. And now, having just started the second half, it's Switzerland 2, Algeria 0. And it's now doubly difficult for Algeria to make their way back in. No subs in the half-time, but Petkovic may have to think about making some in this second half, in the early stages of the second half now, because it's now a difficult challenge that the Algerians find themselves in. As they come here on the halfway line, Mandi plays over to Atnouri. Atnouri down to Aouar, trying to find Shaibi, arriving into the box, doesn't, and the Swiss are able to get clear. not able to get out of their own half just yet. They'll try and do so on the second attempt, looking for Mbolo. Headed away by Ben Sabani. Nice interception there, but the Algerians will try and come through once again. And the Swiss defence get in the way, get the ball quickly back to Kobel. Kobel now to Akanji. Akanji plays to Rodriguez. Rodriguez running fast towards the halfway line, then plays on his left to Vargas. Vargas dribbling down, but he can't get through and beyond Belgali. And Belgali plays the ball back to his goalkeeper. Belgali to Zidane. Zidane now to Bensabani. Bensabani to Bentaleb, who plays back to the goalkeeper. Zidane rolls the ball out to the edge of his area, then plays on the left. Now into Maza. Maza trying to run his way through. Now, nice ball here, played down that right-hand side to Belgali. If he can get hold of it, he does. Belgali doing really well to right here. Belgali looks to put the cross chance for the Algerians. Couldn't find anyone really to get onto the shots. And the ball again goes harmlessly through to Gregor Kobel in goal. As Maza is now down on the deck. Didn't catch exactly what happened to him there, so we'll get a chance to have another look at this opportunity. Belgali does well down this right-hand side. He managed to pick out Riyad Mahrez with the cross. But Mahrez's attempt on his left ricochets into the boot of Zakaria. And then that allows Kobel to claim fairly confidently and calmly. Mahrez, who did score 2 goals in the slightly peculiar game against Austria, unable to find his finishing touch so far this game, and that has been the issue we saw for the Algerians in the first half. As Benzalani and Mahrez appear to be in some consultation between the two, discussing tactics. Mahrez, the 35-year-old, he still runs mighty fast for his age man formerly of Manchester City and Leicester City, so he has experience winning titles different parts of the world. Vargas tries to play the ball in, but it's intercepted by Zerouki. Zerouki's ball though just goes straight back to Kobel, who comes out of his area to claim that one. Xhaka now. Xhaka with the ball over on the right hand side. Ndoye tries to get hold of the head, but he's beaten to it by Ant-Nouri. Ant-Nouri this time with the clearance through into the centre, looking for Awa. Held up here by Mahrez. Mahrez tries to turn away, but the referee has already pulled back play for a foul on Granit Xhaka. It'll be a free kick to the Swiss. Xhaka gets himself ready, just passes the free kick to Mansambi, who's right next to him. Mansambi now to Rodriguez. Rodriguez pivots backwards and passes to Akanji. Akanji goes to his right to Elvedi. Elvedi dribbling forward, then passes over on the right to Zakaria. Zakaria nods forward to Ndoye. Ndoye cuts back inside and then passes in the middle to Frula. Frula with the ball over the top here. Held up really nicely by Zakaria. Tries to find Mbolo in the centre. Couldn't quite pick him out. The pass just behind, but not near enough Mansambi either. Algeria looking to come out of their own half now. Mahrez plays over on that left-hand side to Awa. Awa beaten though in the challenge by Ndoye, who puts it out for a throw to the Algerians. Ndoye certainly came into life in that first half and definitely deserves to have his name on the score sheet along with Mbolo, but it has been a very good team performance thus far from the Swiss. All the players really get involved in just about everything that's been happening so far. Algeria take the throw on the near side. Mahrez throws to Benzabani. Now Ant-Nouri. Ant-Nouri to Awa. Dispossessed though, and here's a chance for the Swiss to try and come forward. Instead they do win a throw. Throw goes back in the direction of Kobel. Kobel uses his feet to take the pace off the ball and then passes to Elvedi. Ball knocked forward, looking for Ndoye. Ndoye pushed to the ground, no free kick given, so the Algerian defence will come out from within their own half. Over on the left-hand side to Nouri. Nouri back into Bensavani. Bensavani to Mandi. Mandi over on the right to Belgali. Trying to find Belgali here once again on the give and go. But Mahrez unable to find a way through. Tries again to be creative and turn a little flick to the oncoming run of Belgali, but it doesn't quite work out as planned. And the Algerians have to go back to deep within their defensive area. Now at Nouri. They have not wanted for lack of possession. That is certain with the Algerians. And they've not wanted for lack of effort either. They really have been trying throughout the game as much as they possibly can. But that's a big interception there by Zakaria. Ndoye tries to get forward and then he is brought down somewhat clumsily by Bentaleb. And I don't think the referee is reaching for his pocket here, just for one yellow card in the game so far. That was given to Fares Chaibi earlier on in the first half. Akanji coming from the free kick, passes to Rodriguez, tries to pick up Manzambi. Back to Xhaka. Xhaka to Freuler. Now to Rodriguez once again. Xhaka goes all the way back to Kobel. The Swiss do not need to be too preoccupied right now with that second goal. Having made the perfect start really to this second half. Now here they come again. Manzambi, the danger man with the pace, passes out on the left to Vargas. Vargas back inside to Manzambi. Manzambi dribbling through, then plays on his left to Rodriguez. Rodriguez just about manages to control the ball and then passes back to Akanji. Akanji in the middle to Xhaka. Xhaka to Rodriguez, back to Manzambi now over on the left-hand side. Manzambi dribbling on his way towards the box. Manzambi doing well to get in, but Belgali gets in his way. And now tries to dribble out, but Vargas stands strong in front of him. Concedes, I think he concedes the throw, which Belgali himself will take and throw back to Mandi. Mandi tries to get the ball back to Belgali, but he knocks that one out and goes straight again for a throw to the Swiss. And you're just seeing just a few traces now of the Algerians just starting to struggle ever so slightly under the pressure. 2 goals down, and since that goal pretty much on the 45th minute, they've looked a little bit more defeatist, it has to be said. 1 goal could change everything though, of course, as Bentaleb tries to come forward on the halfway line. Bentaleb manages to find the pass to Maza. Maza plays in the middle to Chaibi, but he's dispossessed by the oncoming Ndoye. Now Xhaka tries to work his way through from the back. He's hauled down and wins a free kick. Maza, the guilty party. Xhaka goes back to Akanji. Akanji has all the time to consider his options. Dribbles forward and then plays the ball through to Ndoye in the middle. Ndoye knocks back to Elvedi. And now Frula running forward here, making his way with some pace towards the box. Passes back towards Ndoye. Ndoye is tripped but gets straight back up, then knocks it onto Vargas. Vargas coming in on the left-hand side of the box. Vargas getting closer and closer. Vargas with the ball across the face, a goal. And it goes out for a throw on the far side. And Ruben Vargas walks away with his face wrapped in the bottom end of his shirt, looking just a little bit disappointed with himself for that. His final delivery, not the best. He was going for a cross there. He was looking to pick out Mbolo, who was arriving, but it goes a fair way behind where Mbolo was leaping towards. And now we do have a couple of changes for the Algerians. Awa is the first one on his way out. Zeroki is also coming off. Amin Giri is one of those players who's coming on. So that is an attacking change, of course. And Hajam is the other one who comes on. So we'll try and work out exactly what positions they slot into. With Igiri, the man playing at Olympique Marseille. Second time he's come on as a substitute in this competition. I presume he'll just pretty much take Auer's role in that attacking line as he does now try to chase down the ball. But has to run back for a goal kick. So Hajam, I presume, will play in and alongside Chaibi, slightly behind where we're going to see Giri play as part of a front three, although we did just see Hajam trying to run down the ball, the man from the young boys, but he is a defensive player by trade. Another player who was born in France, as a few of his Algerian players are. Zakaria breaks through very effectively on that right hand side, runs beyond the halfway line, coming at a good pace here. Zakaria still going really well towards the edge of the box, then plays it off to Mbolo. Mbolo puts the cross in, and it has to be turned behind by Bentaleb for a corner. And Zakaria was given all the time in the world there to run down with the ball. He maybe even could have taken a shot himself, he didn't have too much pressure. He eventually passed it off on his right for Mbolo, but that was still a little bit worrying for the Algerians at this time. This time it will be Rodriguez to take the corner, the first one of the second half. Sets himself up. Ball directed towards the back post, and it goes beyond just about everybody and behind straight away for a goal kick. It's the second time that Rodriguez has taken a corner in this game, and neither have been particularly effective. His first one was beaten by the first man at the near post, and that one which goes straight behind for a goal kick. Algeria looks to come out down the left hand side, tries to play the ball in towards the run of Giri. Doesn't pick out the Marseille man, and the Swiss have themselves a throw on the far side. Back to Elvedi with the throw. Elvedi over to Akanji. Akanji turns background to bring Kobel into play. Kobel passes out to Freuler. Freuler over to Elvedi. Elvedi back to Freuler, who's going to make the run forward here. He then plays into Ndoye in the centre. Ndoye has to go backwards to Zakaria as he's being pushed off the ball. Now Elvedi into Xhaka. Xhaka tries to play the ball to Manzambi, but he mistimes that and goes straight instead to Belgali. And now here's a chance for the Algerians to come forward. Massa trying to work his way through, but he can't get past Granit Xhaka, who takes the ball from him and continues to dribble towards the halfway line. Xhaka with the ball towards Ndoye on the right hand side, but good defending from Ant Nouri to prevent Ndoye from getting there. And now Hajam on that left hand side of midfield where he's slotting in. Coming now on the right-hand side, the Algerians. Maris back in the middle to Bentaleb. Bentaleb tries to put the ball over the top for the run of Maris. Maris does just about manage to get there before Rodriguez, but then he loses out as he tries to wrestle for control of the ball, and it goes out for a throw to the Swiss. Deep within their own half, here on the near side. And as you might imagine, the Swiss fans certainly in full voice at this time. As Chaibi puts the ball behind him to Hajam. Hajam with the ball in towards the centre of the box, but it's cleared comfortably away by Elvedi, and that's a nice clearance which goes straight to Mbolo. Mbolo now running forward from within his own half in towards the attacking area. Now to Vargas on the left-hand side. Vargas takes the pace out for a moment, then passes to Manzambi. Manzambi goes to Xhaka. Straight in front of him, the Swiss looking very comfortable here. Manzambi, back to Vargas. Vargas backwards to Rodriguez. Rodriguez passes to Akanji. Akanji fending off the pending attack from Mazza, turns back to Kobel. Giri trying to chase down against the keeper. Kobel's clearance down the left-hand side, headed on by Vargas. Tried to find Manzambi, but Mandy was able to get in front and in the way there and takes the ball back to the keeper. Doesn't pass to him, but just dribbles back towards the keeper. This time he does pass towards the keeper. Now Mandy once again to Belgali. Belgali trying to find space on that right-hand side, looking to use his footwork, passes into Bentaleb. Algeria really are struggling at the moment to find a solution. They've looked considerably weaker in this second half, and that second goal so early, probably an awful lot to do with it. Vargas now coming down from the left-hand side, in towards the box, tries to put the ball in, but it ricochets straight into Mandy. Not knowing too much about that one, Mandy, but still being in the right position to turn it behind for a corner on the near side. Switzerland leading by 2-0. This is our last game of 32 of the day. Unless, of course, you're already waking up. And then we're into the Friday games for you. This time it will be Vargas sharing the corner duty with Rodriguez. Vargas waits for instructions from the referee, something to do with the placement of the ball. Now he will get himself ready to take the kick. The Swiss number 17 with the ball in, challenging at the near post, fighting for it. Akanji just outside on the edge of the box. Rodriguez, free kick given in the direction of Algeria. They're coming together there on the edge of the box. You feel if there is to be another goal in this game, the way things are going, you fancy the Swiss to get another one here. 2-0 already, a good scoreline in around a 32. Definitely a confidence-boosting performance for the Swiss so far. Winners of this, of course, to take on Colombia or Ghana in the round of 16. Bentaleb. Now to Hajam. Aknouri. Back into Hajam. Now to Bentaleb. Mandy, who's just taking responsibility to get himself forward. Maris. Riyad Maris. Coming into the box, tried to play to Belgali, and a little bit too much on that from Riyad Maris. Just that lacking of quality, unfortunately, for Vladimir Petkovic's men in the final third. And it just rather showcases there as Maris' pass just a little bit too heavily weighted. And even though Akanji was coming over in defensive duties, they were quite happy to watch that one go behind for a goal kick, which is given away, and this will allow Maris to come through, try to link up with Giri, but Zakaria gets there before him and passes back to Kobel. Kobel's clearance goes straight to Besambi. Bensavani to Bentaleb. Now over on that left-hand side as Chaibi tries to help get the ball moving forward to Hajam. The Algerians win themselves a throw on the far side. Hajam will be ready to take this one. No, he won't, because we're going out for a hydration break. So with 67 on the clock, in particular in this second half, Switzerland have been absolutely dominating proceedings. Nadoy scored with a good strike just before the 60 seconds of the start of the second half had fully elapsed, allowing the Swiss to double their lead, and at the moment Switzerland are booking themselves a place in the next round of this competition. And that'll be due to take place on Tuesday, the 7th of July. The winners of this will be taking on the winners of Colombia and Ghana. If you're listening in the Americas, it'll be around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. If you're in Europe, that game's going to be at around 10 o'clock or so, depending on your time zone. And just a reminder, you are listening to Unofficial studio-based commentary, bringing you the event from Switzerland versus Algeria. Don't forget, if you have access to the local broadcaster in whichever country you are in, you can, of course, watch your games there. But if you don't, we are here to bring you all the action throughout. And some wonderful games coming up tomorrow, or perhaps today already if Friday has already started for you. Australia taking on Egypt, and then the big one, Argentina against Cabo Verde, a real fantastic opportunity for the debutants in this competition. And then later on Friday night, or getting in to Saturday morning, depending on that time zone, will be Colombia versus Ghana. And that'll be wrapping up the round of 32. It's then moving on to our round of 16 games, and we know a number of these games already confirmed. Canada versus Morocco, Paraguay versus France, Brazil against Norway, and Mexico against England, Portugal, Spain, USA and Belgium all confirmed in the round of 16. Then we just wait to see if it will be Argentina or Cape Verde taking on Australia, or Egypt, and Switzerland, who currently look good, to be taking on Colombia. How's that for some filler for the hydration break for you, to give you all the news and information during this time? Switzerland now getting themselves with a couple of changes. Their first two of the game. Noah Okafor of Leeds United is one of them. Fallen out a little bit of favour with the manager in recent times, but good to see him coming back in. Fabian Rieder from Augsburg will also be coming on for the Swiss. 3 changes in store here as well for Algeria. This is when it gets messy, when there's so many changes that come on at one time. But I can tell you Vargas is coming off. He's going to be replaced by Rieder. And Okafor, I presume, will replace Mbolo. He's actually going to replace Manzambi. So those 2 changes for the Swiss. So we'll see. I guess Okafor will take Manzambi's role and just fit in behind him, behind Mbolo in that second striker position. Manzambi has been brilliant in that first half, though, showing his pace. But maybe there is already thoughts for the Swiss of resting some of these key players. Now, potentially a major substitution here for the Algerians. Bentaleb coming off, but another big name coming off here is Riyad Mahrez. So this could well be the last time, folks, we get to see Riyad Mahrez in the World Cup. He is now off. The 35-year-old, I don't think we'll, unfortunately for him, be seeing him in 4 years' time. We'll get you the exact details of those changes in just a second, with all the names that have come on and off the pitch. Vargas replaced by Rieder. As here come Algeria coming through the right-hand side. Belgali coming in through, and the referee brandishing a yellow card. And I actually think that yellow card, that's for a foul against Xhaka, who actually looks to be in an awful lot of pain there. The yellow card has been given against Boulouai, who has just come on the pitch and goes in and makes a very heavy challenge on Granit Xhaka. Now that is not good whatsoever from the substitute. Right, only just coming on the pitch, it's Boulouai and Haj Musa who came on. It's a heavy challenge on Granit Xhaka. He is not happy at all about that, the Swiss captain. Musa, the forward who plays for Feyenoord, will slot in the position of Riyad Mahrez. And Boulouai will take the position of Bentaleb on the pitch. So fairly like-for-like changes. But that is not what Petrovic wants at all. Just brought on the player, and he's immediately, so first thing he's done since coming on, immediately finds himself in the referee's book. So don't bring on changes to do that, eh? Well, what a way to come back from the hydration break. Multiple changes made and an immediate yellow card for Hicham Boulouai. As the Swiss free kick goes long, knocked on by Okafor. Cleared away by Ben Sebani. Now Boulouai tries to play the ball forward, looking for the run of Maza, but far too much on that. Sometimes you really see substitutes making a huge difference. Happened, of course, with Brazil against Japan. Seen it in a number of games. Saw a very, what seemed like a controversial, but turned out to be a very brave decision by Roberto Martinez today to take off Cristiano Ronaldo in the Portugal game. But so far, the Algerian substitutes do not seem to have made the desired effect, as Zakaria does well to nod it on to Ndoye. Ndoye comes into the right. Oh, and it nearly found Okafor in the centre. And the Swiss very near there to having a third, and you still think there is a third goal coming for the Swiss here. Algeria are up struggle street at the moment, unfortunately, after a strong first half. Here's Boulouai. Boulouai comes towards the halfway line, fighting for it against Xhaka. Just about managed to knock it forward to Musa. Musa tries to play to Maza in the centre. Rodriguez will cover there. Passes back to Xhaka. Rodriguez will now try and come forward down that left-hand side. Plays the ball across the centre, but it's given straight in to Ben Sabani. And now a chance for Giri, who picks up the ball just outside the box. Giri plays into Hajam. Hajam goes back to Ben Sabani. Now to Maza. Maza over to Musa, a substitute. Musa coming down on that right-hand side, trying to find a way past Okafor, who's coming back in and doing the defensive work. Manages to win the corner, Haj Musa. And that is better work from the substitute. Kiss to the ball before he comes over himself to take the corner. Is there an opportunity for the Desert Warriors to do something more? Number of big players up. Ben Savani's there, Mandi's there. Corner comes in towards the far post. It's headed down by Embolo. Rodriguez does the rest of the clearance duty all the way to where Zidane is well outside of his box. Tries to knock it forward once again, but it goes straight to Embolo, who's still in the defensive half. Now Musa tries to come through that right-hand side again, but Rodriguez says no. Knocks it on to Okafor. Okafor plays back to Elvedi. Elvedi to Akanji. Akanji to Frula. Frula with a lovely ball through the centre. Ryder running through. Knocks it forward to Embolo. Oh, but that's a very important defensive intervention there from Mandi, because Embolo was bearing down through on the goal there. As the Swiss continue to do what they can to cause problems to the Algerians. They would love another goal. Boulouai dribbles forward, now passes on the right to Musa. Musa coming to the right hand corner of the box. Belgali on the overlap. Musa still trying to hold up with the ball. Knocks it back to Boulouai. Boulouai over to Hajam. Now on this left hand side, Giri running in towards the edge, takes the shot. Hajam, who took that shot. Couldn't direct it on target, however. The man, another one born in France from Young Boys, plays at Young Boys. Being involved as a substitute in most of Algeria's games this campaign, apart from the one against Argentina, he didn't come on. He's adding something there in that left-hand position in the midfield. As there's a little bit of a confrontation here between Belgali and Xhaka. The referee has to separate them. I think Xhaka is still perhaps a little bit peeved with the very hard tackle he received, but the referee appears to be reprimanding Belgali more than he is the Swiss captain. You're not going to win a fight with Granit Xhaka. That is not someone you choose to get in too much of a row with. A player of huge respect as well, but he does have a very commanding presence in the Swiss midfield and in just about any team that he plays for as well. Kobel now with the ball at his feet. Coble looks for Embolo with the clearance. Embolo tries to nod forward, and he does manage to pick up Ryder. Ryder still going well here. Ryder trying to play the ball forward for Nadoy. It's a little bit too much in front of Nadoy, but he will manage to get it there before it goes out for a throw. Nadoy then passes back to Freuler, into Xhaka now in the centre. This is shooting range for Xhaka, but instead he chooses to go along to Rodriguez. A little bit too much weight on that. Rodriguez just about keeps it in, but then his attempted pass to Okafor doesn't find him. Belgali tries to make the clearance. Okafor still up against him here. And then a push in the back of Mazza, who'd got back in from Xhaka, who looks just a little bit riled up here, Xhaka. Referee just warning him, be careful here. Be careful, keep your temperament in check. Switzerland now on the receiving end of the throw, but that goes straight to Xhaka. Xhaka then receives a push from Giri. That's not going to help the slight tense affairs currently going on in this game at the moment. The referee might just now be thinking he wants to get this to the 90 minutes. The possibility of extra time looking unlikely. Okafor finds the ball round through the corner to Ryder. Ryder tries to put it back into the centre. Knocked out to Embolo. Embolo takes something of a shot, but that won't be one to go in his scrapbook. Goes out and behind after wafting over the crossbar for a goal kick to Algeria. And now time for one further change. They already have 3 on the pitch for the Algerians. 4, in fact, I should say. But one more still to be made, and she appears to be just around the corner for Vladimir Petkovic. In the meantime, here's Rodriguez. Rodriguez with the ball back to Akanji. Akanji with all the time in the world here on the halfway line. Decides to look to that left-hand channel to Ryder. Ryder plays into Okafor in the middle. Okafor loses out there to Musa. Okafor fighting for it once again with Musa. Gives it to Xhaka. Xhaka plays it out on the right to Zakaria. Zakaria with the 1-2. Zakaria arriving into the centre. Embolo. Ryder surely. Oh, he cannot direct his shot towards the goal, and somehow Zidane just manages to leap back in and prevent the third goal going in for the Swiss. And Ryder should have converted that one. Zakaria does really well, and Ryder arrives on the ball. He just needs to touch it home, but he waits a fraction too late to allow Zidane to readjust his body. He just needs to take it once and strike it with power. He tries instead to touch it home, and that's an opportunity missed for Fabian Ryder to get his first goal of the tournament. The Augsburg man just boot it in, and you can see the fans in the stadium gesticulating as such. Just boot it in, son. That's all that's needed. Stick your laces through it. That's what you're hearing the coach say for that sort of thing, as Belgali has now been withdrawn and he'll be replaced by Adil Bulbina. The 23-year-old plays at Al Douali. That's the final changes for the Algerians, but there's one further change which is being made. Embolo is now being withdrawn for the Swiss team. He has his goal to his name in this game today, scoring in the 10th minute, a very well taken goal, and he is going to be replaced, I believe, by Mohamed Amdouni, and he will slot in that same sort of position as well. Chance for him to get involved in today. He hasn't played in this competition so far, on the bench in all 3 matches without making an appearance so far, so nice to see Yakin giving him the opportunity to get involved in today's game, especially as it looks pretty much now like it's done and dusted for Switzerland. It really doesn't seem likely that they'll be getting much from this game, Algeria, apart from maybe preventing a third goal this evening in Vancouver. As Giri tries to get down the left-hand side, but Elvedi is very easily able to get in his way and then clears down that right-hand side to where Amdouni makes the run, and now Ryder tries to push for it, and Amdouni will arrive here. But Ben Samani is able to get the ball back to his goalkeeper. As Mandy dribbles out here. Just trying to work out for you where Bulbina will fit in, because he's not a right back by trade, or whether they'll look at a different option to fill in that right back place where Belgali has left. Here is Mandy. He plays to Musa on the right hand side. Musa trying to work his way past Rodriguez, cuts the ball inside, looking for the give and go with Hajam, and Hajam's ball just goes out and behind for a goal kick. And again, just so telling of this Algerian performance. Opportunities to get forward, not materialising into anything of a threat for the Swiss. Zakaria is now on the ground, and the referee very quick to tell him that time wasting will not be permitted. Forlorn looks on the faces of the Algerian supporters. I think for them, beating Switzerland this evening always seemed to be unlikely. They wanted to believe, every team wants to believe this tournament can be historic for them, getting back into the final 16 for the first time in a while. Well, it's the first time they've qualified for this tournament. That time they went out to Germany, who of course went on to win that competition. But it doesn't look like it is to be today for Vladimir Petkovic's men. They'll be bowing out. It's been a good tournament. It looked difficult perhaps after that first loss to Argentina. Messi staking his claim in this competition, as he's continued to go on and do. They did well to get out of the groups in that third place, finished 6th out of the 8 teams that qualified. The break in play will allow for 2 further changes. Abisha and Vaida both waiting to be allowed to come on, as Giri has the ball here on the enemy box, trying to cut inside to Maza. Unable though to get hold of him. It goes out for a throw. It will be a throw to Algeria. And those changes will now be made for Switzerland. So this is now their final changes. Ndoye going off to applause, scorer of the second goal. Just 55 seconds into starting the second half. The ball came out to him in a perfect position. Ndoye converted excellently. He's the first man off for the Swiss. And Zakaria, who's also had an excellent game today. Ibisha and Sylvain Weidmer on in their place. Places. As now Okafor knocks the ball over on the right-hand side to Abisha. Abisha plays it forward, looking for the run of Amdouni. At-Nouri able to get there before him. Pull away. Now to Mandy. Mandy to Hajam. Jam brings the ball in the centre and tries to play over on that left-hand side. Brought down by Giri. Giri once again on that far side. This time Algeria look to probe over on that right-hand side with Musa. Musa trying to find his way into the box. Musa managed to get into the centre. Musa with a lovely ball across, and that is a good save. That has to be made by Kobol, who I think feels that Mazza was probably in an offside position, but it's still, now the flag is up, a little bit delayed in coming up, but that is now confirmed. But still, good work there from Kobel. He hasn't had to do anything of noteworthy challenges, and in fact, the Algerian players there are a long way offside. No need for controversial VAR checks like we saw in the earlier game today. Scoreline with just 2 minutes to the 90. Switzerland 2, Algeria 0, and they're good for this win. Switzerland, they've played dominant across all areas of the pitch today, and I reckon that both Colombia and Ghana, as they think about their forthcoming game, will have reasons to be concerned about what the Swiss present. They're organised, they're strong, and this Switzerland team will believe they could get themselves into the quarterfinals for the first time since 1954. The last time in this tournament they lost in the round of 16 to Portugal rather decisively as well. It was a 6-1 loss to Portugal. In 2018 they lost to Sweden 1-0 in the round of 16, and in 2014 to Argentina. But they will certainly believe they have the chance and the ability to go one further this time round. A game against Colombia or Ghana could prove to be challenging. We've seen a great deal of skill from both sides causing problems. Ghana, of course, forcing a goalless draw against England. Colombia with some very strong performances so far as well this competition. Switzerland coming out from the back once again. Intercepted by Chaibi, but given away again. Now here is Okafor. Turned into Amdouni. Amdouni running forward and then goes down to the ground by Chaibi. Now Chaibi already on a yellow card. Makes the big tackle there. Perhaps just a tad fortunate not to see the official reach into his pocket, as we confirmed 6 minutes of additional time to be added on before Switzerland can confirm their place in this next round of the competition, and the fans are enjoying this one. Xhaka. Ball played through to the middle. Bensavani able to intercept there. Turns back to Zidane. Amdouni trying to put the pressure on the Algerian goalkeeper. Algeria able to come through on the far side. Playing now over to the right. Musa picks it up down in the right hand side. Musa, who has been dangerous since coming on. Musa twisting his way through, and then Rodriguez blocks his path, and that allows the ball to go behind for a goal kick. He's dealt with everything he's had to do so far in this game, Rodriguez. Impressive performance, imperious in defence, but also getting forward as well. The 33-year-old left back. Now that he has been released by Betis, I'm sure there will be a couple of clubs interested in the service. As Amdouni trying to run forward here, but the referee's already brought play back. Something with Fabian Ryder. A foul there means that Algeria have a free kick coming out from within their own half. At-Nouri plays out on the left to Boulevina. Mandi tries to play the long ball forward, looking towards Giri. Giri trying to turn away into the box, now into Mazza. Mazza with the opportunity for the shot. That's well blocked by Elvedi. Headed forward by Ryder. And Switzerland will try and come forward with a quick counter-attack. But there's a foul there as they try and work their way forward quickly. By At-Nouri. And now, from just outside their own box, Switzerland will have their free kick. 4 minutes on the clock before the final whistle. Playing down the left-hand side, looking for Okafor. Hajam able to get in the way of that. Now Algeria will try and come forward once again. You can't fault them for trying. It hasn't always had the quality. that they've kept trying in this game as much as they possibly can. Chaibi over to Musa. This is where they've looked better in this second half. Musa with a lovely little give and go to Buluai. Buluai back to Musa now. Musa tries to play the ball down the line for Buluai, but the two don't communicate together. And again, the lack of, I don't know what adjective to use there, whether it's a lack of organisation, discipline, cohesion between the players. I think cohesion is possibly the word I'm going for here. They've kept trying, but just there, Musa played the pass. It probably would have been too long for Buluai anyway if he had made the run, but Buluai stayed rooted to the spot. And now just a couple of minutes remaining on the clock. The only thing is whether Algeria can prevent a third from the Swiss. Xhaka plays the ball back to the keeper. Kobel. Perhaps now the last opportunity. There've been late surges in this round of 32. Can't see it, I'm afraid, Algerian fans, happening this evening. Akanji over to Rodriguez. Rodriguez plays the ball, looking for Amdouni. Amdouni brings it down, trying to chase for it. Good defensive work, though, by Bensouani. Wins a goal kick, taken quickly by Zidane. Out to Adnouri. Bolivina plays over to Mandy. Mandy into Musa on the halfway line. Musa with the long ball over on the left. Brought down by Bolivina. Now back towards Adnouri with a corresponding throw. Referee didn't like that throw, have to take it again. And in fact, he'll have to hand it over to foul throw. You don't see too many of these. Foul throw, which means the Swiss will have the throw with just 1 minute remaining on the clock. Throw down through the right-hand channel. Intercepted by Maza. Bolivina over on the left-hand side. Plays the ball in towards the centre. Xhaka able to deal with that one. Passes back to Kanji. Kanji back into Xhaka. Seconds now remaining on the clock as Xhaka passing the ball back to his goalkeeper. Kobel clears long, headed away by Mandy. Straight, however, back to Xhaka. Xhaka now running forward, passes on the left in front of him to Noah Okafor. Okafor goes into Freuler. Freuler knocks the ball forward. Little give and go here to Okafor. Okafor free on goal here. Okafor with the opportunity. Deflected back out to Freuler. Freuler with the shot. Straight into Zidane. And that probably will be the last opportunity we see in the game. Lovely knock forward by Ryder to Okafor. And then Freuler with the last shot of the match, and that will be it in what has been, for the most part, an extremely comfortable day at the office. Murat Yakin has helped orchestrate Switzerland returning to the final 16 of this international competition for the 5th consecutive time, and they have perhaps shown this evening that they may be able to go one step further. Can they get back to their 1954 level? For Algeria, it ends in defeat. They'll go home with their heads held high, having made it out of the group stages, but ultimately this evening they were outclassed by a solid Swiss performance. You can't fault Algeria for trying. The quality on the night just wasn't quite good enough to see them do the deed tonight. So that's it. Switzerland will take on the winners of Colombia versus Ghana on Tuesday of next week, and we will of course continue to bring you all the unofficial studio-based coverage of all the games in the greatest show in international football. My name has been Simon Waters, and it's been a pleasure bringing you all the events from Vancouver for this evening's game or this morning's game. Wherever you are in the world, have a wonderful Friday, and thank you so much for joining us today.